Hey guys, it's Josh with the Update Channel, and I'm a diesel truck mechanic, mostly working with Caterpillar engines, and I'm going to be reacting to the world's largest diesel engine. So this is called the Wärtsilä, I'm probably saying that wrong, 14RT Flex 96C. Now, it's not a Korean company, it's Finnish, I believe. Let's pause it there. Look at the size of that ring gear. I mean, that thing is twice as tall as a man, and it's amazing that they can machine something that big. Now, what's weird is their website, or the YouTube channel I'm on, is not Wärtsilä's, it's WinGD. So I don't know if they bought them out or why their engine's on this. Not sure, but this is the engine they're talking about. So the 14RT, 14 is the amount of cylinders, and 96 is the displacement in centimeters. So it's about 3-foot bore. Look at that sucker. Yeah, that's large ships, I would say. I don't know what that gear is for. Okay, so it looks like it's for the crankshaft. 14 cylinders. Look at that. Look at that crankshaft. That is insane. I mean, these are people down here. I wonder what these cranes are. Now, notice the crane says 5 tons. There's no way that crane is rated at 5 tons. That is not possible. Maybe there's a mini crane inside that or something. I don't know. So let's go back here. Look at these specifications. So it's 14 cylinders. It's an inline. 26 meters long. Almost 100 feet long. 2,300 tons. Not 23 tons. I mean, a lot of diesel engines are 1 ton. 2,300 tons. That's insane. So, look at the size of that. Look at that crankshaft. All right, look at the specifications here. Look at these specifications. 96 centimeter bore, almost a meter. So that's about 3 feet to those non-metric folks. The piston stroke is 250 centimeters. So they call that under square. Engine can be over or under square. Usually diesels are under square, usually like race car engines are over square, meaning the bore and the stroke are different, or one is more than the other. So this has a lot more stroke, almost 3 times as much as the bore. So that would be called under square. 100 RPM. That is so slow. Most engines won't even start if they're cranking at 100 RPM. But when you have a stroke of, 9 feet? 100 RPM is probably pretty fast. Think of the piston speed. Even though it's only 100 RPM, remember that's the revolutions of the crankshaft around. When you're going 9 feet each time, that's a lot. The kilowatts per cylinder, 5,720 kilowatts. So what is that in horsepower? You're probably wondering. That's something else. We'll do 5,720 kilowatts, so that's 1,000 watts. We'll divide it by 746, which is how many watts is in a horsepower. So 7,600 horsepower per cylinder. There's 14 of those, remember? So this is, according to this calculation, 107,000 horsepower. That'll run a toaster, folks. So it looks like the crankshaft's in 2 pieces. They're 7 and 7. Forward and rear 7 cylinders. That must be the flywheel. Oh my gosh, what are these? These have got to be, let's go back a little bit. Those have got to be either the main journals or the connecting rod journals. Or not journals, but the main caps or the connecting rod caps. That's bigger than most engines. Just one cap. Most caps you can hold in one hand, obviously. Not that thing. That thing probably weighs 3,000 pounds by itself. What's weird is, unless these holes up here are the bolt holes, I'm not sure exactly what holds that in place. That's really interesting. I wish this video was longer and had more information. We'll go to the website and see what's going on. So whatever those are, they're putting them on. Some sort of... Okay. Hey, look at that. Look. Pause. You can see these got to be the main and connecting rod caps. There's many of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And they've already got a couple on. So it looks like the cranks in forward and rear section, and it comes together here. Look at that's just a man with a, connecting rod cap that's 5,000 pounds behind him. And I'm not sure what this is over here. I wonder if that's like the cylinder head or what. I'm not sure if they call it that, but let's see. Okay, so there's a rear or front section of the crank. Not sure what the front and the rear is here. Okay, so they put some sort of head on it or something already. This section here, this has to be like a head assembly where you've got intake and exhaust. These are probably intake or exhaust ports, and they probably use a heat exchanger in there to capture some of the heat for steam. I've heard a lot of ships use that, but look at those cranes. Those are cool. Look up here, like it says 10 tons. That's not a lot of weight. Remember, this whole engine weighs 2,300 pounds, or 2,300 tons, and that's a 10-ton crane? There's got to be little cranes or some inside there. I don't know. I'd like to see what this crane is actually rated at. What are these going on over here? I wonder if those are the valves over here. You see them? Some sort of machine part, something that's going to go in here, I'm guessing. That's not the pistons. Interesting. I wish they showed the pistons going in. Not sure what those are. That's a lot of test ports there. All right, back to the engine itself. So if you look, yeah, that's got to be intake or exhaust. You can count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 14 cylinders. It's crazy to me that this engine literally has scaffolding as part of the engine. I mean, this is taller than a 2-story house. Look at this thing. That's insane, folks. This is an engine. An engine. I mean, it only goes 100 RPM, but it only makes 100,000 horsepower too, so. There it is moving. How loud that is. That is really, really interesting. All right, folks, so we're on the Wikipedia page, which Wikipedia is not always accurate, folks. So it looks like manufacturer is Wärtsilä. I'm not sure why it said WinGD there. Trading, It's a Finnish company. That's what I thought. So it's a 2-stroke, interesting, 2-stroke, not a 4-stroke, turbocharged low-speed diesel engine, designed for large container ships, running heavy fuel oil, so not necessarily diesel, but it is diesel, so it would be a compression ignition. So it looks like the first one, 2006 it was produced. It says it's still produced to present. It was in this Emma Maersk ship. We'll go take a look at that and see how big that thing is. I bet it's pretty big. So let's look at the specifications here. So the engine speed's 15 to 102, so that was accurate in that website. The displacement, which wasn't mentioned in the website, you could have, or in the video, you definitely could have figured it out, is 1,800 liters, 1,800 liters, or 111,000 cubic inches, folks. So, you have your big block and your small block Chevy. You could fit 3,800 of those inside this engine. So, I'm not sure what they mean by mean effective pressure. The piston speed is pretty fast, even though the RPMs are super low. Because remember, the stroke times RPM determines your piston speed, not necessarily the RPMs. Remember I said it was about 107? Yep, 107,000 horsepower. 100,000 horsepower, folks. Torque, yeah. 5 million foot-pounds of torque. 5 million. I can't even imagine. I feel like the Earth produces less torque than this engine does rotating. 5 million foot-pounds. On impact wrenches, when they say, oh, this gun, this 3/8 impact puts out 2,000 foot-pounds. Those are always inaccurate numbers, but that is insane. Because remember, torque times RPM is a calculation for horsepower. So with that low horsepower, with that much torque, it's because the RPMs are so low. Insane. The crankshaft weight, just the crankshaft weighs 600,000 pounds. The pistons weigh 12,000 pounds. My God. The piston height's 20 feet. That is crazy. Let's go to their website and see if we can find it. Oh, well, let's look at this ship, actually. So it's the first container ship in the E-class of 8. Oh, there's 8 of these enormous ships. Look at this thing. Now, there's no scale, you know? So it's hard to say how big that is. Obviously, that's a large vessel. That is like its dad. These cranes are huge. I wish there was a person or something in this picture we could see. I don't see anything. Man, I wish there was a scale here. Those cranes are huge, but you can't really tell. I mean, these are little windows. You probably can't even see a person next to it. I mean, I think that's a truck trailer right there. If that's a truck trailer, I mean, imagine, you know how big those are. So that's a big old ship. Let's go to their website. So we're on their website now. So it's common rail. It's a flex common rail. So that's interesting. Yeah, the fuel system, I was wondering about that. Compact supply unit compared to blah, 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 blah. I'm looking over here. The absence of a full-length camshaft usually is mechanically controlled engine. So it doesn't have a full camshaft. So I wonder if each cylinder has its own valve setup. It's a 2-stroke also, so it's a much simpler valve train system, I'm sure, than a 4-stroke, because whole different, you know, it's basically combusting on every stroke now, opposed to a 4-stroke where it's every other rotation of the crankshaft. So waste heat recovery, remember what I was saying about some of them use the exhaust heat and then recycle that. So yeah, this has a waste heat recovery plant. That's funny that an engine has its own power plant just for the exhaust. Output 12% is recovered just from pulling the heat out of the exhaust. So that's a lot when you're talking about, 100,000 horsepower. 12% of that, that's like 14,000 horsepower is recovered basically in power units. That is super cool. I don't work on ships or vessels, but that would be something really interesting to see. If you've ever seen this in person or have worked on a ship like this that has one of these or something similar to it, leave some information in the comment section. Super interesting. I hope you guys found this as interesting as I did in my commentary. Hopefully it was interesting also. Thanks for watching.